Hi everyone, my name is Christina George, and if you're watching this video, I more than likely have your son or daughter in constitutional law class. Glad you are watching. I am going to tell you a little bit about myself and about the class. So I'm going to pull up some visuals for you to look at as I talk a little bit here. The first couple slides that I'm going to show you are the slides that I showed to the students the first day that we met on Zoom. Just this one, just reiterating that I'm very aware that there will be bumps in the road. I'm aware that Zoom fatigue is real. The first couple of days that we got done with classes in our household, everyone was exhausted, and it was kind of mind-boggling because I felt like we'd just been sitting and looking at a screen, but it turns out that that is pretty draining. So we're all in this together, and I think that I'm hoping at the end of the semester, every one of the students has enjoyed the class and feel like they've learned from it as well. So just a little bit about myself. This is my 6th year teaching at LT. Previously, I was in the healthcare field, so my background is a little bit different from teaching. I went back and got my master's degree when my youngest daughter got to be school-aged, and I focused on health education, which made sense since I'd been in healthcare. And I liked that, but I didn't love it. And I wanted to keep learning. I just have this ongoing passion for learning as much as I possibly can about as many things as I can. And I found out that the area of global studies really fills that need for me. There is so much to learn and so much good stuff, so many great classes. And I've had the fortunate opportunity of teaching quite a few of them at LT in the past 6 years. So it's been a very positive challenge for me and a very rewarding challenge. I've been teaching world history at LT for 6 years and constitutional law for now, this is my 4th year. So I will tell you that I absolutely love teaching this class. It is phenomenal. So those are just some pictures of things I like and about myself and my family. So constitutional law, it's obviously just a semester class. We have 5 units, and really the focus on the semester is the first 4. Unit 5 gets the short end of the stick, really because we run out of time with all the good stuff that we're doing in units 2, 3, and 4 especially. So Unit 1 is an introduction, which we're getting the foundation. We will be wrapping that up this coming week. And Unit 2, we get into the court system, and we really look at the Supreme Court, the 9 justices on the Supreme Court, how they interpret the cases that come their way, and the idea of case precedent and how that impacts people's lives. Looking at Unit 3, that's the First Amendment. The First Amendment is huge, the right to free speech, religion, petition, protest, which is assembly. And so there's a wealth of good stuff to talk about there. It's a hot topic in our country right now and the past few years, so it's really relevant right now and a fun unit to talk about. Unit 4 is criminal law. This tends to be a fan fave. I do have a lot of students that are interested in criminal law, whether they're going into law itself or law enforcement or criminology or psychology. And so I think this is an interesting unit for the kids. And we look at everything from your rights, the Fourth Amendment right to search and seizure, and how that impacts the roadways and what happens when someone's pulled over, to the Eighth Amendment, which encompasses the death penalty and prison reform and all kinds of topics there. So, all right. And then, as I said, the 5th unit, it does get the short end of the stick. We usually have only about a week. So we just touch on the idea of tort and tort reform, which is about the process of suing another person or another entity in our country. So just to reiterate a couple things about the class, one of the reasons I love it so much is because it is very relevant. I have endless examples to pull from what's happening in the news in present day, so that makes it really meaningful, I think, and purposeful. So it's really lends itself well to that. Just a note about mock hearings. We do, it depends on the semester. We try to get in at least 3 and occasionally 4. These are fun for the kids. They have a variety of roles they can choose from, and some of those roles are as active and dynamic as being an attorney, and some of them are a less active role where they are writing a letter in support of one side or another, and then they're assessing the arguments that they're hearing in class from their peers. There's also the role of a justice, someone who is asking the questions to the attorneys. So out of those roles, students get the choice of what they want to do, but I do have everybody take on at least 2 roles so that they can't do the same thing every time. And that turns out to be usually pretty rewarding and fun. We'll see how it goes on Zoom if indeed we are doing them on Zoom. We'll make it work. So, and lastly, this class does lend itself to being able to express your opinion. A lot of the topics that we talk about are topics that people feel passionately one way or another about, but we don't approach it that way where we argue our opinions. We learn the facts before that are presented before us. We look at the evidence, come to a conclusion, try to support it with more evidence, and discuss it that way. And I've just had fantastic luck in this class. I don't want to say, maybe luck's the wrong word, but with being able to have conversations and everybody's respectful of the other's opinions and really getting into the constitutional law behind these issues. So grading policies, formative versus summative. I'm sure you're hearing this in all the videos you watch, but I do practice, and that's the idea, that we practice, we learn a skill, we learn it together. At some point, you're going to practice on your own and show me how well you're understanding, get feedback from me, learn and practice some more if we need to, and then finally there would be a summative where you have the opportunity to demonstrate knowledge and understanding. So in Infinite Campus, if you do look at Infinite Campus and follow grades, you will see things that have point values that are not going to impact their final grade. Those are listed as formative on my end, and I will mark those as do not impact their final grade. So, but they're on there still as point values so that everybody can get the proper feedback and understand where they are. So one thing I will note, if a student gets to a summative and it doesn't go as well as they'd like it to go, they do have the opportunity to redo that or retake that, but they need to meet with me first just to make sure we're on the same page and see if I can help with whatever was missed. And also they have to have done the formatives along the way. So if we get to the summative and a student has not done the formative practice and the summative doesn't go well, that would be a little bit of an issue because we want them to be able to practice along the way. So I guess the bottom line is just I would like everybody to do the formatives along the way to show that they are practicing and getting the knowledge down before we are getting the skills down, I should say, before we get to the summative. Remote learning, yes. So here we are. A lot of hours on Zoom. I'm very aware of that. I know that it's a lot for kids. It is draining for them. I try to keep the work outside of class to what needs to be done. And there is stuff that needs to be done. We only meet every other day, so there is stuff outside of class, but I'm not heaping it on. I never will heap it on. I will never give something that is just busy work. It will be something relevant and meaningful. It might be a formative quiz. It might be a short reading to be ready for the next class. It might be practice looking at, let's say we're looking at cases and figuring out how they move in the court system. Might be a practice worksheet, but I will keep it to a minimum, and I will keep it hopefully balanced for the kids. The content, even though we're not meeting as often, is the same. There's a little bit of streamlining here and there, but mostly the content is the same for the class. A couple of the bummers, is that the hearings have to be done on Zoom versus in person. Obviously, that's not as ideal. We do usually do a field trip, and I anticipate that the courthouse downtown will probably not be offering those field trips this year. So that's disappointing as well. The positives is that I feel like as a whole, LT and all of us are getting up to date. A really quick lesson in how to get up to date with technology. I think this was overdue, and I think this is a positive change. Also, from a teaching perspective, I think it forces us to look at teaching in a fresh way with new eyes, and really teach what matters, and figure out how to make it engaging. So I think this new way of looking at it is positive for us as well. Participation in class Zooms. If you are talking to your students, I really appreciate cameras on as much as possible. I definitely give them time to turn it off if they're doing a quick reading or we take a break, especially in breakout rooms. If it's hard to talk to a blank screen, so I really encourage their cameras on, and speaking up during class is great. It makes the class more fun, I think, for everybody, and more enriching for everybody. And we're all practicing with this. This is something I'm practicing with as well, is figuring out the best ways to get the kids' voices in these sessions. So I will keep doing my best to do that. And if you give a plug on your end too, and we're making, the last note was connections, and hopefully we are. I trying to build the class as a community, and I think it's going well. It's a slower start in school as well. It takes some time. So I feel like it's coming together roughly at about the same pace. Again, I know that those one-to-one or personal interactions, we're all missing them, but I feel like we can do this and come together as a class and get a lot out of it. So I'm going to show you quickly the Canvas page for our class. When students log on, they go to this home page here, and there's their link to the Zoom. If they click on how to's, this is a technology help board. It has some tutorials on how to do things. Could even help maybe with other classes. And down here is where I keep the calendar. So I'm having a hard time getting it all in on my screen for you. But I put the most recent date on top, what we're doing in class, and then anything to do outside of class. And so everything is right there, and everything is hyperlinked. So there shouldn't be a lot of clicking or going to different places to find things. It's all right there on that home page. So I encourage you to become an observer for your son or daughter if that is something that interests you. All right, let me go back to the slide, and I think that's all I have. Yes. So this was different as well, but I appreciate you watching and being here virtually. And please don't hesitate to call me or email. I'm very quick to respond by email. I'm happy to entertain any questions, comments, or concerns. So, or to talk about your son or daughter if there's anything that comes up. So thank you again, and here's to a good semester. Bye-bye.